Why, this is your crisis too. If you drive a car, heat a home, or buy anything that moves through global supply chains, this is your crisis too. The Strait of Hormuz handles roughly 20% of the world's daily oil supply. If Iran consolidates control over transit fees, energy costs do not come back down when the fighting stops. They become the new baseline. If Japan and India formalize escort arrangements with Iran, the American security guarantee in the Gulf, the very foundation of the petrodollar system, starts looking optional. Once countries restructure their energy logistics around a new partner, they do not restructure back just because politics calms down. The routes change, the contracts change, the leverage changes, and it does not come back. This is not a temporary disruption. This is a restructuring event. 3 roads forward. Where does this go from here? 3 realistic paths, and none of them restore the pre-war status quo. Scenario 1. Manage de-escalation. Intermediaries force a cool-down. Some face-saving arrangement is struck. The shooting stops, but the structural changes remain. The India corridor, the Japan corridor, the toll framework. Those do not snap back. They have already replaced the old order. Scenario 2. Domino realignment. More countries follow India and Japan, South Korea, Southeast Asian economies. European energy importers begin negotiating bilateral arrangements with Tehran. A new network forms and becomes self-reinforcing. The United States remains the largest military power on Earth, but is no longer the unquestioned guarantor of energy security. OPEC dynamics shift permanently. The dollar's role in energy markets faces real structural competition for the first time in 50 years. Scenario 3. Escalation. Spiral Trump, facing collapsing approval and political pressure, doubles down militarily. Strikes on Iranian naval assets. An attempt to seize the strait by force. Iran activates the Houthis across the Red Sea. Global shipping insurance rates explode overnight. Oil spikes past $200 a barrel. Allied governments are forced to choose sides in real time. NATO fractures further. This is the scenario nobody wants to name out loud, but that every defense ministry in the world is quietly planning for right now. What has already changed? Regardless of which scenario plays out, the relationship between the United States and the global energy order has already changed. Even if Trump reverses course tomorrow, the lesson has been learned by every mid-sized power on Earth. You never put all your strategic eggs in one basket, especially when the basket is being managed by someone who posts about ICE agents at airports while a war rages half a world away. The perception shift is permanent. Trust, once restructured, does not simply return. Iran did not start this conflict, but it is proving remarkably effective at exploiting every single mistake the other side makes. Not with superior firepower, not with a larger navy, with geography, with diplomacy, with leverage, and with the patience to let an impulsive adversary defeat himself, one post at a time. So, I will leave you with this. Did Iran outmaneuver the United States, or did the United States outmaneuver itself? Is what Iran is doing smart self-preservation or a dangerous gamble that could spiral beyond anyone's control? And when the history of this moment is written, will it say that the world's most powerful nation was undone by a foreign adversary or by a president who could not stop posting long enough to read a briefing? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe, because the next chapter, the Houthi activation, the OPEC emergency session, the next market shock is coming fast. This story is not slowing down. Do not look away. This content is commentary and analysis for informational purposes only. It does not constitute financial, legal, or geopolitical advice. The views expressed represent the analytical perspective of the narrator, based on publicly available reporting, and should not be taken as established fact. Events remain uncertain or contested. Consult qualified experts before making any decisions based on geopolitical developments, not the unauthorized war, not the collapsing markets, not the Strait of Hormuz being converted into an Iranian toll road. The emergency was biological males and women's sports. That is what the United States Senate is treating as urgent, while American forces are deployed in an active conflict zone, and Iran is rewriting the rules of global shipping in real time. Meanwhile, Hawaii is experiencing its worst flooding in 20 years. FEMA is gutted. No presidential statement. No emergency mobilization. The president is at Mar-a-Lago posting about airports while Americans are underwater. That is not governance. That is abandonment. If this script is connecting dots you have not seen assembled anywhere else, you are already ahead of most people watching this unfold. Hit subscribe right now. This is moving faster than any single outlet can track, and you need to be here when the next piece drops. The genius of asymmetric war. Most leaders, when threatened militarily by a superpower, respond with one of two moves: capitulate or escalate recklessly. Iran did neither. Iran responded with systems. It activated the Houthi threat in the Red Sea without firing a single shot, simply by reminding the world that the network exists and can be switched on at any moment. It opened bilateral shipping corridors with India and Japan. It established a toll framework for the Strait. It turned a military disadvantage into an economic choke point that the entire world now has to negotiate with. Not with missiles, not with aircraft carriers, with geography, leverage, and patience. And here is the contrast that should keep every strategist up at night. While Iran builds leverage, Trump removed oil sanctions on Iran. He removed oil sanctions on Russia. As analyst Danny Saddle explained to NBC News, the United States is now funding a war against itself. The oil revenues flowing into Tehran are financing the very defenses, the very diplomatic outreach that is actively undermining the American campaign. You cannot beat geography, Saddle warned. And you certainly cannot beat it when you are subsidizing your opponent's ability to exploit it. Remember when Trump posted on August 5th, 2024, stock markets are crashing, job numbers are terrible. We are heading to World War III, and we have two of the most incompetent leaders in history. It was always projection. The markets have been in free fall this past week. The Coterra Energy CEO told Reuters that the past 20-plus days have set the region back 20 years. That he warned the American Energy Secretary daily and that nobody listened. Arab nations that believed they were engaged in pay-for-play with Trump discovered the truth. They got played. Because that is what this pattern does. It takes the money, makes the promise. And when the consequences arrive, it changes the subject. Receipt 1. The Hormuz toll booth Iran is not just defending the Strait of Hormuz, it is monetizing it. According to reporting from multiple outlets, Iran is planning to enshrine a new status quo for the Strait, requiring every passing ship to pay fees to Tehran for the privilege of transit. Expediency Council member Mohammed Beher Nobakht, an advisor to the Supreme Leader on Economic Affairs, told Iranian media that they are setting up a business. Think about what that means for a moment. The world's most critical oil choke point, through which roughly 20% of the global daily oil supply flows, is being transformed into Iran's personal revenue stream in the middle of a war that was supposed to break Iran. Washington was not consulted. Washington was not in the room. And that silence, the absence of any coherent American response to this announcement, is deafening. Because what you do not say when a rival declares ownership of a global artery tells you just as much as what you do. Receipt 2. The client list grows. Iran's foreign ministry is not sitting in a bunker waiting for bombs. It is running a full-scale diplomatic offensive. The Iranian Navy guided an Indian liquefied petroleum gas tanker through the Strait of Hormuz after direct diplomatic engagement with New Delhi, allowing the ship to pass on a pre-approved route. Prime Minister Modi publicly acknowledged his conversation with Iran's president, condemned attacks on critical infrastructure in the region, and reiterated the importance of keeping shipping lanes open. That statement was not about peace, it was about access. Then came Japan. Iran's foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian announced that Tehran is ready to facilitate the passage of Japanese vessels through the strait with negotiations actively ongoing. This came right after the widely criticized spectacle of Prime Minister Kishida's White House visit, where Japanese media reported widespread public fury over the treatment their leader received. Japan watched its prime minister humiliated, watched its trade relationships thrown into uncertainty, and then quietly opened a back channel with Tehran, India. Then Japan. As one analyst framed it, if India's tanker passage program is successful, other countries will follow. Iran is building a client list. It is becoming the gatekeeper of global energy transit, not through military conquest, but through diplomacy and leverage. Every country that signs up for Iranian escort services is a country quietly decoupling from the American security umbrella one by one, without fanfare, without asking permission. Recip 3, the distraction machine. While Iran builds a new order in the Persian Gulf, Trump posted a statement threatening to deploy ICE agents to airports if, in his words, radical left Democrats do not sign an agreement to let airports be free and safe again. He singled out immigrants from Somalia, attacked Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, attacked the governor and attorney general of Minnesota, and closed with "Make America Great Again." This is not wartime communication. This is a culture war grenade thrown to change the subject. And the MAGA senators received the memo. They declared an emergency session over the weekend. The emergency? Iran has just drawn a line in the sand, and it is not a bluff. In the last 24 hours, Iranian officials issued a direct threat to Donald Trump through the Tasnim news agency if American Marine Expeditionary Units move on Karg Island or attempt to enter the Strait of Hormuz, Iran will shut down the Bab el-Mandeb Strait in the Red Sea. The same choke point the Houthis already proved they could paralyze. The same corridor that carries a significant share of global shipping. And while this is happening, while an adversary with real leverage is staring down the most powerful military on earth, the President of the United States is posting on social media about sending ICE agents to airports. 2 theaters, 1 military, 1 theatrical. And that gap, that chasm between what the crisis demands and what the commander-in-chief is focused on tells you everything you need to know about where this is heading. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly what Iran is building while Trump is distracted. Why the strategic map of the Middle East is being redrawn in real time, and why the world you are living in today looks fundamentally different from the one you woke up in 3 weeks ago. Imagine you were in a business negotiation. Your competitor just locked down exclusive deals with your biggest partners, set up a toll booth on the only road to your facility, and started charging your allies for access. And instead of responding, you are in the parking lot arguing about who gets to check IDs at the front door. How long before your partners stop returning your calls? Hold that thought, because that is exactly what is playing out on the world stage right now. Drop your answer in the comments. Is this strategic incompetence, or is something deeper going on? The theory that fell apart. Let us rewind the clock. When Trump launched military operations against Iranian infrastructure, the assumption in Washington was straightforward: overwhelming force, quick capitulation, regime buckles. That was the theory. Hit hard enough, fast enough, and Iran would come to the table with nothing left to bargain with. It was the same logic applied to Iraq in 2003, to Libya in 2011. And just like those cases, the theory dissolved on contact with reality. Iran did not buckle. Iran did what strategists do when they are outgunned on one front. They opened every other front simultaneously. The Strait of Hormuz, the Red Sea, the Houthi network, bilateral diplomacy with every major economy that needs oil to flow. While Trump was focused on the kinetic campaign, Iran was waging a parallel war of positioning. And positioning in a resource war is everything. The calculation in Tehran was remarkably clear-eyed. You do not need to defeat the American military. What you need to do is make the cost of the operation so high, so disruptive to global energy markets, so damaging to American alliances that the operation defeats itself. You make the wound too expensive to keep inflicting, and the receipts are already piling up.